welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. I've always believed that a relationship should be dynamic, always evolving to keep the spark alive. My wife, Sarah, and I had been together for 10 years, and though our love remained strong, our intimate life had grown routine. So, I decided it was time to surprise her with something different. I wanted to rekindle that passion and bring a sense of adventure back into our bedroom. The idea came to me one evening as I was browsing an online store. A sleek leather whip and a pair of beautiful fur-lined handcuffs caught my eye. The handcuffs were especially striking, they could be engraved with her name. I imagined the look of delight and curiosity on Sarah's face when she saw them, envisioning the playful nights we could share. I ordered the items and waited eagerly for them to arrive. The day they were delivered, I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Would she think I was trying too hard? Or worse, would she be offended? But I brushed aside those doubts, convinced that the surprise would ultimately bring us closer. That evening, after dinner, I brought out a small, elegantly wrapped box. Sarah looked at me with a raised eyebrow, a curious smile playing on her lips. "What's this?" she asked, taking the box from my hands. "Just a little something to spice things up," I replied, trying to keep my tone light and teasing. She opened the box and her expression shifted from curiosity to shock. She lifted the whip first, then the handcuffs, turning them over in her hands. Her name, elegantly engraved on the metal, glinted in the soft light of our living room. "Are you serious?" Her voice was icy, a stark contrast to the warmth I had hoped for. "You want me to use these?" "I thought it might be fun," I said, feeling a knot form in my stomach. "Something different." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "Fun? You think this is fun?" "This is sick, Jack. I can't believe you thought I would like this." I opened my mouth to respond, but she cut me off. "No, don't. Just don't. I'm going to throw these away tomorrow." She stormed out of the room, leaving me standing there, stunned and feeling like a fool. The night was long and cold, with Sarah and I sleeping on opposite sides of the bed, an unspoken barrier between us. The next day, I noticed the box was gone. True to her word, she had taken it away. I felt a pang of regret and a sense of loss for what I thought might have been a new beginning for us. I tried to push it out of my mind, focusing on work and the mundane routines of life, but a seed of doubt had been planted in my heart. Weeks passed, and though we never spoke of the incident again, the distance between us seemed to grow. Sarah was often out, meeting friends or working late. I tried to be understanding, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Then, one evening, I was invited to my friend Tom's house for a small get-together. Tom and I had been friends since college, and though our lives had taken different paths, we remained close. Sarah was supposed to join us, but she called last minute, saying she was caught up at work. The evening was pleasant enough, filled with laughter and reminiscing. But as the night wore on, I found myself feeling restless. I excused myself to use the bathroom, and as I walked down the hallway, I noticed a door slightly ajar. Curious, I peeked inside and saw it was a closet. My eyes widened as I noticed something familiar on the shelf, the handcuffs. The same fur-lined cuffs I had given Sarah, unmistakably engraved with her name. My heart pounded in my chest, and a wave of nausea hit me. What were they doing here? I grabbed the cuffs and rushed back to the living room, my mind racing. Tom was pouring himself a drink when I confronted him. "Tom, I found these in your closet," I said, my voice shaking with barely contained fury. "Care to explain?" Tom's face paled as he saw what I was holding. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. "Tom," I said, my voice now dangerously calm, "are you sleeping with my wife?" The room fell silent, the air thick with tension. Tom looked at me, guilt and fear in his eyes, and I knew the answer before he spoke. Jack, I didn't mean for it to happen, he stammered. It just did. I'm so sorry. I felt a cold, hard rage settle over me. My hands clenched around the cuffs, the metal biting into my skin. I wanted to hit him, to make him feel the same pain I was feeling, but I restrained myself. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. I left Tom's house without another word, the cuffs still in my hand. As I drove home, my mind raced with plans for revenge. This betrayal wouldn't go unpunished. Sarah had shattered my trust, and now, I would shatter her world. When I got home, Sarah was already there, lounging on the couch as if nothing had happened. I tossed the cuffs onto the coffee table, and she looked up, her eyes widening in shock. Jack, where did you save it? I snapped. I know everything. I found these at Tom's place. Her face drained of color, and she opened her mouth to speak, but I cut her off again. You betrayed me, Sarah. You lied and cheated. I thought I knew you, but clearly, I was wrong. I'm done. She started to cry, but I felt nothing but cold resolve. This was just the beginning. By the time I was finished, Sarah would regret ever betraying me. I would make sure of it. I storm out of the house, leaving Sarah behind, her sobs echoing in my ears. The night air is cool against my flushed skin as I get into my car and drive away with no destination in mind. My thoughts are a whirlwind of anger and betrayal, but amidst the chaos, a plan starts to take shape. Sarah and Tom won't get away with this. The next morning, I make a call to an old friend, Emily. We had met in college and stayed in touch over the years. She's sharp, resourceful, and, most importantly, fiercely loyal. Emily works as a private investigator, and I know she'll be able to help me uncover every dirty detail of Sarah and Tom's affair. Emily, I need your help, I say, skipping any pleasantries. It's about Sarah. Emily's voice is steady on the other end of the line. Jack, what's going on? You sound upset. I explain everything, from the failed attempt to spice up our marriage to finding the handcuffs at Tom's house. There's a brief silence before she responds. Jack, I'm so sorry to hear this. Let me see what I can find out. I'll need some details about Tom, his full name, address, workplace, anything you can give me. I provide her with all the information I have, and she promises to get back to me soon. With Emily on the case, I feel a glimmer of hope. I need concrete evidence of their affair, something undeniable. The following days are a blur. Sarah and I barely speak, and when we do, it's strained and awkward. I go through the motions at work, but my mind is elsewhere. Then, one evening, my phone buzzes with a message from Emily. Jack, I've got something. Meet me at the cafe on Elm Street at 7 p.m. My heart races as I head to the cafe. When I arrive, Emily is already there, a file folder on the table in front of her. She looks up and gives me a sympathetic smile. Jack, she says, gesturing for me to sit. I wish I had better news. She slides the folder across the table, and I open it. Inside are photos, emails, and text messages between Sarah and Tom, all damning evidence of their affair. As I go through the documents, my anger intensifies, but there's also a strange sense of relief. Now, I know for sure. Thank you, Emily, I say, my voice tight. I needed to see this. Emily reaches out and squeezes my hand. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, I admit. But they need to pay for what they've done. As I drive home, my mind races with possibilities. I could confront Tom again, this time with the evidence. Or I could take a different approach, something more subtle and devastating. I need to think this through. When I get home, Sarah is in the kitchen, cooking dinner. The sight of her, so familiar yet now so foreign, fills me with a mix of sadness and fury. She looks up as I enter, a tentative smile on her lips. "Hey, Jack," she says softly. "I made your favorite, lasagna." I ignore her and head to the bedroom, slamming the door behind me. I can't even look at her without feeling sick. I need a plan, and I need it now. The next day, I call in sick to work and spend the morning poring over the evidence Emily gave me. There are enough incriminating details to ruin both Sarah and Tom, but I need to be smart about how I use it. I decide to start with Tom. He deserves a taste of his own medicine. I head to Tom's office, a sleek building downtown. As I walk through the lobby, I spot his assistant, Claire. She's always been friendly, and I decide to take a chance. "Claire, can I have a word?" I ask, keeping my tone casual. She looks surprised but nods. "Of course, Jack. What's up?" We find a quiet corner, and I show her one of the photos of Tom and Sarah together, clearly intimate. Claire's eyes widen. "Oh my God, Jack. I had no idea." "I need your help, Claire," I say, keeping my voice low. "I need you to get this to everyone in the office. Anonymously." She hesitates, then nods. "Okay. I can do that." As I leave the building, I feel a grim satisfaction. The first part of my plan is in motion. That evening, I receive a frantic call from Tom. I let it go to voicemail, then listen as his panicked voice fills the room. "Jack, what the hell? People at work are talking, and I think it's because of you. We need to talk. Please, man, call me back." I don't call him back. Instead, I focus on the next phase of my plan, Sarah. She's at work, and I take the opportunity to pack a bag with her things. When she gets home, I'm waiting in the living room, her suitcase by the door. "Jack, what's going on?" she asks, her voice trembling. "I know everything, Sarah," I say coldly. "You need to leave." She starts to cry, pleading with me to listen, but I've heard enough. I show her the evidence, and her face crumples in despair. "Please, Jack, I'm so sorry," she sobs. "It was a mistake." "It's too late for apologies," I reply, my voice hard. "Get out." She leaves, and I feel a hollow sense of victory. The house is silent, but the echoes of betrayal still linger. I spend the next few days putting my affairs in order. I hire a lawyer and begin the process of filing for divorce. I make sure Sarah knows that I will be seeking full custody of our 2 children, who are staying with my parents for the time being. The betrayal is one thing, but I won't let her drag our kids into this mess. Meanwhile, Tom's life is unraveling at work. Claire keeps me updated, telling me how Tom's reputation is in tatters. His colleagues avoid him, and his boss is furious about the scandal. He's on the brink of losing everything, and it's only a matter of time before he's forced to resign. One evening, as I sit alone in the now quiet house, my phone buzzes with a message from Emily. "Jack, I heard about what's happening. How are you holding up?" I think for a moment before replying. "I'm doing what needs to be done. Thanks for your help, Emily. I couldn't have done this without you." Her response is immediate. "You're stronger than you know, Jack. Keep your head up." The days turn into weeks, and slowly, I start to rebuild my life. Sarah tries to reach out, but I ignore her messages and calls. My lawyer informs me that she's willing to settle the divorce quickly, which is a small consolation. The process is painful, but I focus on the future. One evening, as I'm going through some old photos, my phone rings. It's Tom. I consider ignoring it, but curiosity gets the better of me. "Jack, please," he begins, his voice desperate. "I need to talk to you." "Why should I listen to anything you have to say?" I ask, my voice cold. Because I'm losing everything, he pleads. I lost my job, and my wife is leaving me. I just need to understand why you did this. You brought this on yourself, Tom, I reply. You betrayed me. Now you're facing the consequences. There's a long silence before he speaks again. I'm sorry, Jack. For everything. Sorry doesn't change what happened, I say, and hang up. The call leaves me feeling empty, but also strangely liberated. I realize that I don't need to hold on to this anger anymore. It's time to move forward, to focus on my kids and my future. As I sit back and look out the window, I feel a sense of calm wash over me. The road ahead won't be easy, but I know I can face it. Sarah and Tom may have tried to break me, but in the end, they only made me stronger. The life I'm building now is one of resilience and hope, and I'm ready for whatever comes next. The weeks following the call from Tom pass by in a haze of legal proceedings and painful memories. I focus on my kids, doing my best to shield them from the fallout of Sarah's betrayal. They're my anchor, the reason I keep going, and I'm determined to provide them with a stable, loving home. One Friday evening, I receive an unexpected visitor. The doorbell rings, and when I open it, I find myself face to face with Sarah. She looks exhausted, her eyes red from crying. Jack, we need to talk, she says, her voice trembling. I hesitate, torn between slamming the door in her face and hearing her out. Finally, I step aside, allowing her to enter. We sit in the living room, the tension between us palpable. Jack, I know I've hurt you, she begins, her voice breaking. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you to understand why it happened. Why, Sarah? I ask, my voice cold. Why did you cheat on me with Tom? What was missing in our marriage that you had to go behind my back? She takes a deep breath, tears streaming down her face. I felt lost, Jack. Our marriage had become so routine, so predictable. I thought I needed something new, something exciting. But I realize now that I was wrong. I made a terrible mistake. That's not an excuse, Sarah, I reply, my anger simmering just below the surface. You could have talked to me. We could have worked on it together. I know, she sobs. I know I should have. I was selfish and stupid. But please, Jack, give me a chance to make things right. I look at her, my heart heavy with conflicting emotions. There's no going back, Sarah. We're getting divorced. You need to accept that. She nods, wiping her tears. I understand. But can we at least try to be civil for the kids' sake? They need both of us. I nod reluctantly. For the kids, yes. But don't expect anything more. The conversation leaves me drained, but I feel a sense of closure. Sarah and I have drawn a line in the sand, and now, I need to focus on moving forward. The next day, I get another call, this time from Emily. She wants to meet up, and I agree. We meet at the same cafe where she first gave me the evidence of Sarah's affair. Emily looks concerned as she sits down. Jack, there's something you need to know, she says, her voice low. What is it? I ask, my stomach tightening. I've been doing some more digging, and it turns out Tom wasn't the only one Sarah was involved with, she reveals. There's another man. His name is Mark, and he's someone she met through work. The news hits me like a punch to the gut. I thought I had come to terms with Sarah's betrayal, but this new revelation reopens the wound. Do you have proof? I ask, my voice hard. Emily nods, sliding another folder across the table. Photos, emails, everything. I take the folder and flip through it, the images and messages confirming Emily's words. My anger flares anew, but this time, it's mixed with a determination to protect my children from any further fallout. Thank you, Emily, I say, my voice steady. I appreciate everything you've done for me. She reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. You're strong, Jack. You'll get through this. As I drive home, my mind races with thoughts of how to handle this new information. Confronting Sarah again seems pointless, she's already out of my life. But Mark, he needs to know the truth. I decide to pay Mark a visit. I find out where he lives from the information Emily provided and drive to his house, my resolve hardening with each passing mile. When I arrive, I see him sitting on the porch, oblivious to the storm about to hit. I step out of the car and walk up to him. Mark? He looks up, surprised. Yes. I'm Jack, Sarah's husband, I say, watching as recognition dawns in his eyes. Jack, I didn't know you would be here, he stammers, clearly caught off guard. We need to talk, I say, my voice firm. We sit down, and I show him the evidence Emily gathered. His face pales as he realizes the extent of Sarah's deceit. Mark, did you know she was married? I ask, my voice sharp. He nods, his expression pained. Yes, but she told me you two were separated. I believed her. Well, we weren't, I say, anger simmering beneath the surface. And now we're getting divorced because of this. I hope you realize the damage you've caused. I'm so sorry, Jack, he says, his voice trembling. I had no idea. If I had known the truth, I never would have gotten involved. I stand up, looking down at him. It's too late for apologies. Just stay away from my family. As I drive home, I feel a strange sense of closure. I've confronted both Tom and Mark, and now, it's time to focus on rebuilding my life. The days turn into weeks, and the legal proceedings for the divorce move forward. Sarah and I manage to maintain a civil relationship for the sake of the kids, but there's no hope of reconciliation. The trust is broken beyond repair. One evening, as I'm putting the kids to bed, my phone buzzes with a message from Emily. Jack, I think it's time we met up again. I have something important to tell you. Curiosity piqued, I agree to meet her the next day. When I arrive at the cafe, Emily is already there, a serious expression on her face. Jack, I've been doing some more digging, she begins, her tone grave. And I found out something that changes everything. What is it? I ask, my heart pounding. There's a third person involved, she says, sliding yet another folder across the table. Someone close to you. I open the folder, my hands trembling. Inside are photos and messages that reveal another betrayal, one I never saw coming. How could this be? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Who else was she involved with? Emily looks at me, her eyes filled with sorrow. Jack, it's someone you trust. Someone you consider a friend. My mind races, trying to piece together the puzzle. Who else could be involved? The answer eludes me, and I look at Emily, desperate for clarity. Who is it? I ask, my voice shaking. She hesitates, then says, it's your brother, Dan. The revelation hits me like a sledgehammer. My own brother, someone I've trusted my entire life, involved in this web of deceit. I feel the ground shift beneath me, and for a moment, I can't breathe. Jack, I'm so sorry, Emily says, reaching out to touch my hand. I know this is a lot to take in. I nod, unable to speak. The betrayal runs deeper than I ever imagined, and now, I need to confront my brother. The road ahead is fraught with more pain and anger, but I know I have to face it head-on. As I drive home, my mind races with thoughts of how to confront Dan. The anger and hurt swirl within me, but I know one thing for certain, I will get through this. I've faced betrayal before, and I will face it again, stronger than ever. When I get home, I sit in the car for a moment, gathering my thoughts. The kids are asleep, and the house is quiet. I pull out my phone and call Dan. He answers on the second ring. "Hey, Jack," he says cheerfully. "What's up?" "Dan, we need to talk," I say, my voice cold. "Can you come over tomorrow?" There's a pause, then he replies, "Sure, Jack." "Everything okay?" "Just come over," I say, and hang up. The next day, Dan arrives, looking concerned. We sit in the living room, and I confront him with the evidence. His face pales, and he stammers out an explanation, but I've heard enough lies. "Dan, you were my brother," I say, my voice trembling with anger. "How could you do this to me?" "I'm sorry, Jack," he pleads. "It just happened. I never meant to hurt you." "It's too late for apologies," I say, my voice cold. "You need to leave." As Dan walks out the door, I feel a sense of finality. The betrayals have been uncovered, and now, it's time to rebuild my life. The road ahead will be difficult, but I know I have the strength to face whatever comes next. The days following my confrontation with Dan are filled with a deep sense of betrayal and anger. My world feels shattered, the people I trusted most having torn it apart. But amidst the chaos, a strange clarity begins to emerge. I realize that to truly move on, I need to dig deeper and uncover every last detail of the deception that has wrecked my life. Emily and I meet again at the cafe. She senses my turmoil and offers her unwavering support. "Jack, I know this has been incredibly tough on you," she says, her voice filled with empathy. "But I think we need to dig deeper. There might be more to this story." I nod, determined to get to the bottom of it all. "I agree. Let's find out everything." Emily spends the next week investigating tirelessly. One evening, she calls me with a breakthrough. "Jack, I found something. You need to come over." I arrive at Emily's apartment, and she ushers me inside, her face serious. "Jack, there's something you need to see," she says, handing me a flash drive. "It's a video, and it's going to be hard to watch." I plug the flash drive into her laptop, and a video file opens. The footage is grainy, taken from what looks like a hidden camera in a hotel room. My heart pounds as I watch Sarah, Tom, and Dan enter the room together. The audio is clear, and their voices fill the room. "Are you sure about this?" Sarah asks, looking nervous. "Relax," Tom replies, a smirk on his face. "Jack will never find out. This is just for fun." Dan laughs. "Yeah, we'll just keep it between us." The video continues, showing the three of them together, their betrayal laid bare. I feel a wave of nausea, a mix of anger and disgust washing over me. This was more than just infidelity. It was a calculated, deliberate act to deceive and hurt me. As the video ends, I turn to Emily, my hands shaking. "I can't believe this. They planned it. They enjoyed it." Emily looks at me, her eyes filled with sympathy. "I'm so sorry, Jack. I know this is devastating, but at least you know the truth now." I nod, my mind racing with thoughts of how to confront them. I need to face them all, together, and expose their treachery. The next day, I call Sarah, Tom, and Dan, telling them to meet me at my house. They arrive one by one, each looking anxious and unsure. We sit in the living room, the air thick with tension. "I called you all here because I know everything," I begin, my voice cold and steady. "I have proof of what you did." Sarah's face pales, and she looks at Tom and Dan, panic in her eyes. "Jack, what are you talking about?" I take a deep breath and play the video, watching as their expressions shift from confusion to horror. When it ends, I look at each of them, my anger barely contained. You all planned this, I say, my voice shaking with fury. You lied to me, betrayed me, and for what? Some twisted sense of fun. Tom tries to speak, but I cut him off. Save it. I don't want to hear your excuses. Dan looks at me, guilt written all over his face. Jack, I'm sorry. We never meant for it to go this far. I laugh bitterly. You didn't mean for it to go this far. You deliberately hurt me. You're all despicable. Sarah starts to cry, but I feel no sympathy. Jack, please, let's talk about this. There's nothing to talk about, I snap. We're done. All of us. I stand up, looking at them one last time. I want you out of my life. I never want to see any of you again. As they leave, I feel a strange sense of relief. The truth is out, and I can finally start to heal. It's going to be a long road, but I know I have the strength to walk it. In the following weeks, I finalize the divorce with Sarah, ensuring that I get full custody of the kids. She doesn't fight it, knowing she has no leg to stand on. Tom and Dan try to reach out, but I ignore their calls and messages. They are no longer part of my life. One evening, as I'm tucking the kids into bed, my daughter looks up at me, her eyes filled with worry. Daddy, is everything going to be okay? She asks. I smile, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Yes, sweetheart. Everything is going to be okay. I walk to the living room and sit down, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. The betrayal and deceit are behind me, and I can finally look forward to a future free from the pain of the past. I have my kids, my strength, and the knowledge that I survived the worst. As I sit in the quiet house, I think about the people who helped me through this ordeal. Emily's unwavering support was a beacon of light in my darkest moments. I pick up my phone and send her a message. Thank you for everything, Emily. I couldn't have done this without you. Her response is immediate. You're welcome, Jack. You're stronger than you know. Onward and upward. I smile, feeling a renewed sense of hope. The road ahead is unknown, but I'm ready to face it. I've been through hell and come out the other side, and now, it's time to rebuild my life, stronger and wiser than before.